What is up, YouTubers? I'm going to restart the 75 Hard program. We did 16 days. Seen an episode about, and it literally said if you don't log it in time by midnight, that you got to start over. So we're starting over. So 6 days in on the diet, 14 days in on the exercising. Tired of the beard, so got rid of that. Seems like a fresh start. The original 75, since I didn't log stuff in, that end date would have been Thanksgiving. Did not plan that. I was like, well, let me just remember this deal. So we'll see how far we can get by Thanksgiving, but then we got to go 2 more weeks past Thanksgiving. And that glycerol stuff or whatever, I think that broke my carnivore thing, because I don't know that it's just straight sugar, but it's pretty sweet. And I'm going to save that for walking home in the apocalypse. I don't think I'm going to take any more of that. We'll just go with meat and eggs. So that's the update. Taking water to Long Island for the 9/11. So we'll see how that goes. What could go wrong? It's just plain ridiculous. The old lady's mad. Yeah. How dare I ask her to answer the phone when I call? And then the whole, grace versus obey the law. And I'm like, it's overwhelmingly obvious that God said this is a statute before you forever. So anyway, I seen a preacher talking about the laws about sex. So I sent her that video. I don't know that. I was like, well, the way you're talking, we could just ignore these laws, but I'm gonna stick to these laws. And it's like, it breaks it all down. You know what I mean? Like, Hollywood's saying, man, it's like, don't do all these things. Like, basically, man, woman, married, make babies. Other than that, you're way out of line. You know what I mean? And then when it says something about thou shalt not inherit the kingdom, according to Jesus, the first thing he says, sexual immorality. And the preacher gave a list. It was so awkward. It was so awkward watching that preacher and everything. So I did see something else that I thought could be a strategy. Because we got a home affordability crisis in the United States, right? So I see this guy. He got 2 RV parks up there at Glacier National Park, and then he went and he was talking to these dudes in Louisiana. And he said he already bought a trailer park out there in Arizona. Well, I go around to all these places, and I know for a fact there's some places I don't want to be in certain seasons. And the affordability crisis and everything, and then finding out some other stuff about leverage, and then doing some subject to owner financing type of stuff. Yeah, so some creative financing. I don't know how much of that's bullshit or not. I don't know how much I would have anything to do with it. I mean, it'd be commercial property. So I guess if you leverage, there's laws about they can't just call your mortgage on your personal house. But if you leverage your house to buy commercial property, that would probably negate that provision. I'm not sure how that works. see this other thing about the open-ended. It's basically, and then there's a open-ended mortgage, and then another type of mortgage where you don't have to go through the whole financing process every time. You can just pull out your equity, and then you can just let the interest build up. There's no such thing as missing a payment. But after you go over your limit, then they could take your house. So whatever you qualified for. And they're like, oh, it's a lot stricter. They're like, you gotta have 720 and 15% down. And I was thinking to myself, well, what is the parameters for getting a house anyway? You know what I mean? And I guess there's a difference between buying a house and buying a house at a decent rate. And when I was attempting to buy a house, I actually tried to get my credit straight for a couple years because, yeah, that made sense. Then when the COVID came, I went down there and did what I had to do. But everything I ever bought before that, I just saved up and just bought it. I just, and then looking at the way these credit things are, blah, blah. And now, building credit through these loans and showing history. At the end of my 5-year thing, I could probably buy an old RV park instead of a truck, because these guys are getting into these deals for not that much money, and they seem to be very profitable. And basically, you just got this sewer system and the electric, which you could hire that done. You're probably better off just buying raw land and an excavator and just do it all yourself. That would make sense. The guy in Louisiana looked like he got his lift station put in at $8,000, and the plumber was quoting $34,000. That was very interesting. And then I see the deal. This was so cool, man. It's just it's totally a God thing. I see the thing about Pompeii, about Vesuvius erupted, covered it in the ash, the pyroclastic flow. He immediately covered it up or whatever, but they showed they had this 2 volcanic rocks, great big submission, like a giant tree stump, then a different rock on top. They somehow or another they had it where they put the grade in there, and then slaves or donkeys or whatever, they'd stick a stick in the side of that one and just walk in a circle to make the grade. And then there was a pizza oven right there. And when they uncovered it and everything, there was still grade there. There was still bread in the oven. So they knew that it was daytime when the volcano went off, because people were obviously there working. I just abandoned the job and run off or whatever. So I was like, man, every prepper in the world would love to have a freaking pizza oven. You know what I mean? And this grindstone, which is funny because grindstone ministry, right? And then this pizza oven. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, man, this would be so cool to have that. And then if you had these 2 big rocks where you could grind and build your own, and then you could just have a field and grow your own ancient grains that's not GMO, and then grind it up and really eat the bread that Jesus was talking about, and then put it in your pizza oven. That would be awesome. It sounds like it tastes great, and with those parameters, it would be healthy. So that would be cool. So then I was like, man, every rich person would want that. You know how they had that show Tanked, and the big fishing tanks everywhere. And then I was thinking about, everybody's at the hunting and prepping and stuff like that. So, like, what if your off-grid community had these two big old deals, you know what I mean? Or you just had one in your backyard if you got money like that. And then, like, I thought about, like, HOAs and, like, a cul-de-sac. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm, like, typing all this stuff up, just thunder thumbs to the email while I'm, like, while I have the muse, the flow state, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, man, this really would work. And then, like, you could have your own, you could do like a conference thing or whatever else like that. And like that medieval times, you could just have this restaurant that, like, is made that way. You know what I mean? Like, in the middle of the restaurant, you got like the slaves pushing on this deal. And I thought, and if it's at a cul-de-sac or whatever like that, well, that neighborhood kids gets to be in a jerk to whatever degree. You know what I mean? Like an alternative punishment to some spanking or the cops taking up or fines, money, or whatever like that. It should be like hours at the grinding stone. You know what I mean? And teach them to grind grain and cook in a pizza oven. Old school. Work. Work them. Make them work. As a punishment. Give them work ethic and punishment or whatever like that. Then I thought about, like, events. And I was sending it to Andy Frisella, so on that Ask Andy. So I sent that to him. But I'm thinking about, like, if he did this at his house, that would be cool. And then, like, if he had people over, you know what I mean? Like, because he does that 75 horse, you got to work out for 45 minutes. It's just like, go bake the grain or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Then, like, freaking cook a pizza or whatever. Get all sweaty and shit. Maybe eat a pizza first. Grind some grain for tomorrow. Do a cold plunge, whatever. And then just, like, chill, hang out or whatever. Like some kind of poolside backyard deal. You know what I mean? You could have multiples. They like the restaurant setting. You could like, show up at this place, instead of medieval times, call it Pompeo. And then have like all the ancient fighters, just like Nerf weapons. And just like, have them out there doing martial arts. Kind of like how at medieval times they joust each other. So that'd be cool. But you could do this like, you could make places in Las Vegas, like a big outfit like that. And then, like, maybe Dubai or something like that, where you got like the, all the cultures from around the world. And you can do it at casinos too. Like that World Casino, it shows all these different, like the Eiffel Tower and stuff. It's right there in Oklahoma. And you could have Pompeo restaurant and entertainment. Go in there and freaking bet on who's going to win the fight. And then have all these warriors and lore. You know what I mean? You have like the samurais from Japan, and then like the Mongolians or whatever. And then, like the Persians or whatever. And just from all around the world. And then to schmooze people in different cultures, just let their culture win. You know what I mean? Like if you wasn't betting, I guess. But yeah, so you could do like some UFC, Mortal Kombat, Nerf style, like something like that. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be freaking awesome. And in the meantime, like everybody's like, eating ancient grains, and then like you're bringing communities together. Like every cul-de-sac's got to have one. So then, like, we could source volcanic rock out there off the I-40 in New Mexico and Arizona out there. There's all kinds of volcanic rock out there. It wouldn't be hard to just mine it from there and then just, like, drop ship it straight to wherever. I sure will be glad when my nose quits running. I don't know what I got to do to accomplish that, but so I think I'm gonna have to quit driving this truck. To be honest with you, I think it's a combination of the HVAC system, and the fumes from the truck stop. It wasn't so bad. It's not the diesel fumes; it's the DEF fluid when it burns. Like, I guarantee you, somebody's truck just regen right beside me. That's probably why my nose started running. Anyway, I thought that'd be pretty cool. And then, like every prepper, you know, like, is your off-grid place complete without putting in a few rows of corn? And you know, you get some of that Indian corn that's like different colors. You know what I mean? And they like shuck it, cut it, drop it in the mill, get them sticks out. That video even showed a diagram of how they did it, so that was real cool. Like, I mean, yeah. So then they had their oven there. They were talking about how good it was to eat out of that oven. And I watched another thing about the benefits of the sourdough made from the ancient grains. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I was like, man, if you branded that and everything, like how good would that be? And then no, I'm pretty tired. I got my 2 workouts in today. I'm freaking sore, man, sore. I think that been watching that D Bird, trying to keep up with him. Holy shit, that guy. You know, he's been doing it a while, so he's used to it. I remember being in jail. We used to do this thing, we called it duck walk. So you take a step, touch your knee to the floor, stand up, take another long step, touch your other knee to the floor, and you bet somebody breakfast or lunch, whichever one you didn't want to eat. And that they got to do a lap all the way around the pond like that. Well, the funny part is, like, if you're not used to it, like, after you've been working out, you can do it, no problem. You come in there fresh off the street, you do that, you can't even get out of bed the next day. Like, your legs will lock up. Because it's like, I don't know, 300 lunges. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not used to it, it'll get you. So I think me and Dennis worked out, and then followed old D Bird on his channel. I forget what he calls his channel. I had to put it on here. I'll link one down in the thing. We'll get off here because I'm tired. Rock Hill, hang in there.